An Ode to Perception and Awareness, Perspectives Through Persons, by Byron Broussard. There are things. 3. There are clouds outside of the window that seem to float stationary as the world runs around the rest of the car. It's not warp speed or anything, but it is beautiful. The sun shines from behind the perfect sized cloud, and the tunes are on jam. Tom and the woman in the car with him are close to a quarter into their trip. Tom is behind the wheel and tapping the top of it lightly to the beat of good vibrations. The woman is recounting her experience inside of Starbucks, using her hands and upper body to express herself. Tom has shoes on. The passionate lady is barefoot. Tom wonders how much of her life is spent without shoes while smiling and nodding. The woman looks out the window, and between the stationary clouds is another stationary mass of darkness. She points it out to Tom, and he tells her that they are close to the mountains now. Time passes. There are people in line waiting for their spot at the pump of a packed Texaco. The worried lady stands next to the land yacht, looking from side to side like someone might try to sneak up on her. Tom walks out of the Texaco with a fire in his eyes and pep in his step. The worried lady puts a hand to her mouth as she spots Tom, and she waves at him. She watches as Tom slows his steps to let an older couple pass in front of him. A horn honks and cars shuffle around the busy gas station. The woman watches with one hand in the air as Tom's eyes dim and go blank. Tom holds an energy drink in one hand and a sagging, swinging plastic bag in the other hand. He rearranges the drink and shuffles towards the land yacht. He's looking down as a car slowly rounds a nearby pump. There's a breeze in the air and the faint smell of a skunk. Tom hears a familiar voice calling out. He looks around and sees the car as the horn blares. A single one of his shoes falls off. There's a high-pitched squeal of brakes. The woman blinks, holding her breath and letting it out as Tom waves an apology and kicks his shoe towards the land yacht. She puts her arm down and rushes to the passenger door and opens it as Tom walks up. "Get in, I'll drive." She grabs his arm and directs him to the passenger seat where he sat down with his legs out the land yacht. Tom bent over and groaned as he reached for his shoe. It's the basics because it's not applicable in most situations, making it mostly useless. The woman opened the driver's side door and got comfortable in the driver's seat. She grabbed the wheel and pulled herself to it. With her chest pressed against the wheel, she fiddled with the tabs of the air vents, pointing the good ones towards where she envisioned her head to be. Tom bent back inside the land yacht and glanced at the determined lady. Her eyes glanced back in his direction, and her hand went to the rearview mirror. "Where are the keys, Tom?" "There is a whole line of cars waiting for spots. Let's go." She said this while looking in the mirror. Tom assumed she was looking at herself. A cat padded confidently on the sidewalk towards the gas station. Tom opened the energy drink and took a sip before putting one of his legs in the land yacht and looking towards the determined lady. The drink tasted like a doctored grape. The woman was adjusting the seat, bent over and moving with little jerking motions. "Yeah, I guess. Why not? I am tired. Even if it's not a 4-hour nap kind of tired." He put his leg in the land yacht. Both his shoes were on. Time passed. See? You needed this. You were moping around the gas station so low you almost got run over, said the flirting lady. What was that anyway? When you walked out the store, you had a shine in your eye and pep in your step. Where did you go? They were doing 80 down a moonlit highway. The weather outside the land yacht was brisk and the inside of the land yacht was warm. The moon shone over tops of the mountains that were now in front of the horizon. The moon shone over tops of the mountains. The moon showed over tops of the mountains that were now in front of their horizon. Clouds seemed to cover the magic of the luminous moon, meeting the dark mountain tops like fluffy white magician handkerchiefs, slowly drifting endlessly from the horizon as if pulled by the magical moon itself. A magical night indeed. I wasn't anywhere important. This moment, maybe, Tom said, trying to shift focus to the sky. You know what you look like, Tom? The flirting lady hugged the steering wheel and looked at Tom. He was looking at the sky. You look like you just scored a date with the woman of your dreams, and you were walking away with her number and future plans. The no longer flirting lady paused. Tom blinked and made a grunting noise, rolling his eyes in defense. The accusing lady continued. Light in your eyes, pep in your step, future plans to look forward to, all extinguished when you remembered where you were really headed. The upset lady pushed herself into the seat and began to accelerate. It looked to Tom as if she were stretching. She extended in anger and the car moved faster. The clouds seemed to suddenly seem less lazy and more pulled. Shadows crawled mysteriously across the ground. The mountain was close. Your light extinguished by your own reality? It's like you've forgotten who you are and where you've come from. The speeding lady was growling under her breath. Where did you go? She demanded. I told you about the 6 years on Mars. She began to sniffle. I don't know what you mean. I guess responsibility weighed on me, Tom said, while shrinking away from her. I didn't mean to offend. I fear you've just seen a strange transition from carefree to thoughtless. He shrugs in apology. Maybe I was really picturing the vast scenery that your driving has lended. The land yacht began to coast again, and the woman was a little more relaxed. Careless is more correct, she continued. So careless he almost gave up the ghost. You looked so goofy when you finally got out the way. I guess you did seem comfortable after that. You scared me. She began to accelerate again, but this time it felt different. You know, instead of almost getting run over, you should really learn to time travel. It's basic shit, the smug lady said. She smiled and looked at Tom. She punched his arm, looking back at the road and back to Tom, smiling the whole time. Smiling like she wanted to spread the smile. And she did want to spread the smile. She reached over and patted Tom's leg in a rhythm, almost as fast as the bumps in the road. You should really, she put emphasis on the word really, chuckling, learn to time travel. She said travel as travel. It's basic shit, bitch. She let go of the wheel and put one hand to her mouth while the other hand did a gesture that looked like a mic drop, then throwing dice. Boy, it's basic. Tom sat there with half a smile and good humor for his Tom sat there with a half a smile and good humor for his dose of shame and ridicule. He had chosen the loftiest of paths, after all, and he knows that with the most high comes the most low. I am so grateful for you saving my life out there earlier. I'm sorry for not thanking you earlier, Tom said. The most lost are often the most inspired. The driving lady seemed not to be listening, but she was listening, and Tom suspected as much. I couldn't be exactly honest through the process because the picture wasn't developed yet. I know that when you saw the light in my eyes go out, you feared that it was because I was considering you. And that is true, but in the positive. When I had light in my eyes and pep in my step, it was because I had no fixed purpose. I was carefree until I remembered I had you and the yacht and a reason. I stopped expelling energy, and now I store it for when it's necessary, not to walk cool. The car had slowed down while Tom spoke. It was now colder in the land yacht and colder outside the land yacht. The land yacht was tan. As far as basic shit goes, it's the basics because it's not applicable in most situations, making it mostly useless, Tom repeated. Unless you know in which situations to use it. He was rubbing his hands together for the grand reveal. She was nodding and glancing from time to time. Like if you almost get hit by a very slow-moving vehicle in a parking lot, and you know you will be ridiculed for poor use of said time travel skills. Tom paused and repositioned himself. When I was being goofy on the way to the When I was being goofy on the way to the yacht, the show began. I could see you wanted something and time traveled away from the normal argument that would normally arise. The one you were expecting and didn't happen. Proper time travel. But not the main event. You know how sometimes you can never think of a comeback in time? There was a pregnant pause. Time travel. I said my comeback before you even made your joke. And on top of that, it was informative. Tom began to move his arms in a hoop circle with his hips wiggling in the seat. The woman laughed. No way, that is so lame, she said. And now we are back golden, whereas that trauma would have taken something to heal. Time. Thus, time travel was successfully used to travel past emotions and conflict. Tom fell asleep.